Greetings and welcome to another edition of Pedalshift Project. The Pedalshift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments around the bike touring lifestyle. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedalshift out on all the socials as well.
Hello from Wallops Island, Virginia, on the causeway actually, in between Wallops Island and Chincoteague Island. This is going to be a little bit of a day trip. The town that I used to spend, probably about 4, 5, maybe 6 consecutive summers. We used to drive from Western New York down here. And it's a cute little town, and I understand now, and I haven't been back in years, that it has some great bicycling infrastructure between it and Assateague Island, which is the barrier island. So I'm really excited to check this out. I mean, not only do I have a little bit of a history in this town, but I'm excited to see what does a beach town do in intervening decades to improve their bicycling infrastructure. Also interesting, just to kind of say, what's the touring situation like around here? If you were with the show last year, in September, I was taking a look further south from here, which is where we're staying actually again this trip, in the Cape Charles area, and there was definitely some interesting opportunities for stealth camping, although most of which were illegal, I'll call it. But the question ends up being, can this work? Now, as I'm going over the causeway here, step number one is, can you get here from other parts of the Eastern Shore? And it looks like that this is super bikeable. The shoulders are quite wide. The causeway itself seems rather fine. The surface is good. It could be cleaner, but it definitely could work out for you. So if you're going to be on the Eastern Shore of Virginia or Maryland, because we're very close to the Eastern Shore of Maryland, the Maryland state line is just north of here. There's certainly opportunities. Now, there are definitely parts that are better than others. Now, as we're on other parts of the causeway, now I'm like, no, this is terrible. This is a death trap. So interesting. All of a sudden, the shoulder's totally overgrown. There's a rumble strip and then a barrier, metal barrier. This is not safe. This is not bikeable. So this is good to know. This is a place that I would have loved to have gone to by bicycle, but it just does not appear here at this part of the causeway that's really a thing. So started off good, then it got real bad. Now it's gotten good again. I just think that especially on a highway / causeway where there's just single lanes, you really want a true bike lane when this kind of situation pops up. Yeah, just totally overgrown. This is not a bikeable section here. Then the question ends up being, okay, if you are going to bring a bike like I did in this part of the state, this region, can you go visit this? Can you enjoy yourself? Can you have a day's worth of riding? And that's basically what we have left to do. As we're getting closer to the town here, I do have to say, I started going here in the late 1970s. Yes, I'm old, but it is it's grown, this town, so much. It used to be a sleepy little town. Now I'm seeing like enormous kind of condo units and whatnot. This is to be expected, let's be honest. But it is quite a bit of difference compared to what this tiny little sleepy town was back in the day. And what's also really interesting is to compare and contrast that to Cape Charles, where I'm going now. And it feels more like what Chincoteague was back in the day. So clearly some money has gone into this area. Not the least of which is there's a different approach into this town now. There's an actual bridge of note. It used to be almost like a lift bridge, like the one I described in my own hometown. And now there's a much more efficient, newer bridge that probably went in the last 10 years or so as we cross into it. So very much was a capacity issue, right? You know, like they didn't have the ability to bring more people in to build these extra condos. Well, so they built a bigger bridge. Now they can. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go find myself to, I think, Assateague Island when all is said and done, and see if I can find myself some bike trails. And then we'll start talking a little bit about that. So as we get closer to the bridge that takes you to Assateague Island, one thing that's really, well, first of all, much more built up than it ever was, which is kind of crazy. And that's even in the last few years since I've been here. It's really grown and makes sense. More mini golf, more souvenir shops, things like that. But I just passed by one of the more robust bicycle rental places. And the first thing that you notice is there's tons of bicycle lanes and things along those lines now. Indeed, a bicycle trail that goes with it. So, and it's so funny, you know, the campground around here as well. It's really clear that bicycling is a major mode of transportation in this area now for all sorts of good reasons. You know, when things get backed up, if you can move by bicycle, it's going to be a lot better for you. Now there's a water park here. Wow, this is really crazy. The changes in this area just in the last few years. It's arguably for the better if you like stuff. It's, for me, arguably for the worse. But at the same time, you know, things move on. But the KOA resort now has an actual water park in it. That is bananas. The big ticket thing, see, they've got local beer here now. So that's kind of fun. You know, it's funny that the infrastructure is all the same, but everything else is so hugely built up all around it. Passing by Ponytails, which is not open. That's the saltwater taffy, the very famous saltwater taffy for the area. But so excited to see lots of people on bikes. This is really, really exciting. If you decided to stay here at one of the various hotels or campgrounds or anything like that, man, absolutely. The second you park your car, don't move. Hop on your bike and move around that way, because I think that is a much better deal for you. I think I may to come back here on the Chincoteague side to hit a shop or two to grab some saltwater taffy for Kimberly. The wildlife here, the lighthouse, I mean, it is just an iconic place as I cross over the bridge here between the two islands. I mentioned that Assateague is the barrier island. It's a national seashore. It has no real development other than the National Park Service. I believe it's the Park Service that has things. So right when you come in, there is a hike and bike parking lot, which is great because there's trails that start here and lots of opportunities. Now there's some hiking only trails and some biking trails. So obviously I will hit the bike opportunities. Yeah, this is a nice setup here. What am I bringing today? I am bringing Gatorade with me because it is a very sunny, warm day. I'm going to be bringing not a mask, but a neck gaiter. As I record this, you may have all been enjoying the news of once you're max vaxxed, you no longer need to wear a mask out in public or indoors or outdoors, which is exciting. But for sun protection, I'm going to be having my neck gaiter with me. I had a couple of other things as well. I'm going to try to keep myself covered up from the sun as I go through this, but hopefully there'll be plenty of shade opportunities in the tree-lined portions of this. This is the, I had said Park Service, that of course was wrong. It is the Department of Interior, but it's Fish and Wildlife here that is running the show, because this is a national seashore. One big thing of note, which is very relevant to me, is no pets allowed, even in your car. You can't even just do a driving around type of thing with your pets in the car, which is really strict, much stricter than normal. But it is what it is. The wildlife here is absolutely amazing, and so I understand the extra strictness. All right, I am about ready to get going. So I am now on the wildlife loop, and I believe this is familiar to me. I feel like I may have hiked this perhaps even the last time I was here. Or actually, no. You know what this used to be a vehicular road. I drove this the last time I was here. It is now closed to vehicles, motor vehicles, I should say. I have to make that mistake. I say vehicle when I mean motor vehicle. Beautiful area, and now that it's pedestrian and bicycle only, what a fantastic thing. This also hooks you up to the beach, as it turns out. So what an upgrade. See if I can block the wind here a little bit. Probably not. Yeah, maybe we'll have to do this elsewhere. But a stunning, beautiful place to go for a ride. But also, from a transportation perspective, this is fantastic. And rather than continue to try to speak over the wind, maybe I'll stop here at this bench. So here we are. You know, there's the coastal pine that are here. There's cattails of some type. I wish I knew exactly what these are. I'm sure that the visitor center can give me some more of the information on the flora here. The fauna here include wild horses. If you've ever heard of Chincoteague or Assateague, there is a, I don't know if it's a great thing, but it's certainly a historic thing that's done here. It's called the pony penning, and when the wild horses are rounded up and auctioned off for folks in July, if memory serves. We always used to come after that in August because it's kind of it was a huge big deal back in the day. I assume it still is as well. But the nice thing about this setup here is, you know, I'm seeing all sorts of different birds. I mean, this place has been protected for decades, and just stunning amount of things to see. You will not run out of things to see here. Like I said, I'm really happy this got transformed into an all bicycle bit of infrastructure, because there's two things. One, of course, is just, you know, great. You can use that for the recreational elements to it. But also, I think for those folks that want to go to the beach, it's a very small parking lot here compared to what you've got at the beach. But you can skip all of that traffic if you can grab a spot there, unload your bikes, and then bike to the beach. And that's pretty fantastic. So, and also as an added bonus for me, because I get to do everything I want to do, plus I get the beach as well. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah, I'll take some pictures as well. I got to get I'm on the Brompton, if that wasn't clear from the beginning. So I think I'll have to make sure that the all orange beast gets its due picture wise. And of course, as usual, everybody looking at me thinks it looks very strange, because it's a little clown bike, but we love it. So as I'm riding here through the Refuge Trail, just enjoying the heck out of it, seeing some egrets, and it's, for a beautiful sunny day, boy, it's quiet. I mean, there's obviously plenty of people, but compared to the summer crowds, I mean, there's nobody here. But one thing that's really interesting is, man, if your comfort level with stealth camping includes camping in places where it's definitely not permitted, there's no judgment for me on that. I mean, I feel like the ethos of stealth camping suggests for many that your impact is so small that ignoring rules is okay, cool, we'll just leave it at that. But boy, there's a lot of stealth camping here. Holy moly. Just the ability to tuck off into the woods here is pretty good. So if you can get into the place, let's see here. I think I'm going to go to the beach. It's a half mile from here. If you can get in here by bike, and so you don't have a car parked on the Assateague side of things, which should be very easy. Boy, oh boy, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. All over the place. But the one thing that I would mention also is, summertime is very crowded. Summertime is also extremely hot. It's in the, I'd say, low 70s right now with, as you've heard, a bit of a breeze, and it's very comfortable. I'm fully long-sleeved and long pants right now just to avoid sun exposure. But the camping temperatures are not
really temperate. It does cool down in the evenings, but the humidity is very high. It's it's the South in the summer. I would characterize this area as the South in so many ways. So, U.S. South, of course. Hello, international listeners. But yeah, it's a real fantastic, interesting opportunity, maybe for spring or fall, if you're so inclined. Again, I do not believe that that's legal because this would be a federal issue because it's a federal property. So, there's your heads up. I am very much enjoying this approach to the beach because it's very familiar to me. It's familiar to me by motor vehicle, of course, just not by bicycle. So the fact that this is an option is just insane. And now the sand is starting to up a lot, and there's bike racks. As you can probably hear, the sand. Yeah, leads right to a beach access point, which leaves me an interesting conundrum. Well, let's just walk the bike. I do have a lock for this, but I think I'll be able to haul this so that I can get a good view of the ocean. This is the Atlantic side, which I have not seen on this trip because the town we're staying on is on the Chesapeake Bay side. Beautiful. This will probably be the thumbnail if you're listening to this. You may have already seen this, and I haven't. Ah, yes. The waves. Don't know if this is going to pick up audio-wise. Yeah, I haven't been to this beach in quite some time. All right, well, we'll take a break for a picture. Taking another one of the side trails. One thing I'm seeing a lot of around is electric bikes, e-bikes. And it's starting to become very clear to me a great potential for a vacation with no pets. Well, I guess you could have them there at the campground. The KOA, if you like KOAs, you could camp there and you could have an e-bike and really get around not only Chincoteague, but also get into Assateague and all the trails. A really fantastic option. Hello. I am in the unusual position where I am the only one wearing a helmet. It's very strange. I mean, I normally on trails don't, but I bought a new helmet because my old helmet is the orange one. Just like there are a lot of things that I've had for many years that are being retired for this year's season of bike touring, and the helmet is one. And this one's kind of a more traditional looking one, but it's got 24 vents. And I thought I would test it out on a warmish day. Like, how cool does it keep my head? And it's quite great. So I think the odds of me wearing this more frequently are much higher. So this will come with me to the West Coast. Hi there. As we work our way away from the beach and inland a little bit, the coastal pines are very prominent. They are so beautiful. Some of my favorite trees on the East Coast. Short, scrubby, very long-needled, perfect for the quasi-marine environment that they're in. But they also feel like that they don't fit at the same time. It's like pines on a beach. I mean, I guess there are pines on almost every beach I've ever been to, but it still seems strange. Oh, and the aroma is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I am very glad that I had the time and the capability to do this today. Not just for my own personal purposes, but also just to share another ride with you all. This is bringing me back to the main road. So this will be interesting. Does the trail parallel the main road? It does appear that it does. And that's great. But I appreciated the completely off-road option for the beach from that parking lot. Now, this goes into, it's two options. Going back towards the beach, it is a separated trail. Going back towards the parking lot, it's all paint, but it's very good paint. It's the white line that divides the vehicular traffic, and there's a yellow dotted line for the bicycle traffic. So it is a very wide, I mean, they took out more than a vehicular lane for this. They either widened the road or they narrowed the vehicular options. It's just 2 lanes coming, 1 lane coming, 1 lane going for vehicular traffic. So very clear that they have dramatically changed the reliance on the motorized vehicles here at this beach. Kind of fantastic. And, you know, probably in line with the values of what we're all trying to do in these natural places, you know, trying to reduce the amount of fossil fuels we burn when possible, and reduce the reliance on it, and, you know, frankly, increase the use of the bicycle as a transportation tool in addition to a recreational tool. I mean, I came here today for recreation, but I've ended up using it for transportation because what I have done normally would have been over the course of several drive and park scenarios, which I'm grateful that I didn't have to do. So I think I've got one more stop in mind, and that is to see if there's a bikeable option to the Lighthouse. I have not been to the Lighthouse in a very long time. Decades, in fact. So I don't know what the approach is, but I'm going to give that a shot. So join me, won't you? My Brompton just became a gravel bike. Is it gravel specific? Hello, consumers of Pathos Pedaled. Yeah, the bike trail ends and it went all gravel. And yes, the Brompton handled it with ease. I feel that's a Russ Soroka too for a Brompton plus gravel reference. Love it. Well, in any event, I'm returning back towards something. Well, more to come. I just thought I'd talk about gravel. So yeah, it turns out the Lighthouse Trail is very busy and it's a hiking only. And I'm feeling more biking. So I'm just going to continue here on this separated path, which is really fantastic. I think I've said that many a time. Oop, bump. Hard to do this one-handed. Phone goes back in pocket. Hoping the audio quality is improved on this trail. Hello? Yeah, it looks like we are getting towards the end of this. So just did a really nice loop. The wildlife loop, as they call it, which is definitely proper branding. Got to see some really cool stuff bird-wise, and then they plant spring. I said fall was a great time to come back in September. That was late summer, really, technically. I think fall or spring is really ideal from a bicycling perspective. Lower traffic, more ideal weather, I think. What a great trip. Well, I think we're going to try out the visitor center. And then maybe call this a trip. After a little bit of time here enjoying the biking, I have to say, worthy addition to any Eastern Shore visit. I feel like that I've sold it pretty well over the course of a couple episodes. Oh well, there's one more little paved area here. Why don't you join me this way? On the far end of the parking lot, there was... Oh, I'll bet you this just rejoins with the main road. Yeah. Well, at least we've done it all then. Let me just confirm that, because this is kind of this beautiful windy little trail through the coastal pines and seeing some raptors flying above. It's a real testament to what happens when you protect the land, the type of wildlife that ends up there. And if you're an aficionado of such things, such as I, it's a good argument for such policies. Well, I am actually at the toll booths. Fee entry station? Maybe it's that. One interesting thing is I don't know if the fee applies if you cycle in. My instinct is no, because it is quite separated, this bike trail. Maybe I'll do something I've never done. I'll take you with me. We'll do this one. This is one of them spur of the moment things, since I'm all the way over here. And it does not seem like I would have to pay a second time. Let's bike to Chincoteague. We're going to take the bridge causeway over. This is something I always thought would be fun as a kid, but never did it because it was probably not safe. Or if it, no, I take it back. I think I do remember seeing people on bikes way back in the day, but of course, the concept of cyclist protection was very different back then. We now have a fully separated portion of the bridge with a concrete barrier for safety. So I think this will be a good way to conclude our episode here. Thanks so much for joining. Don't go away yet. It's going to be a minute till I get there, but real blast from the past for me to be able to bike in this area. Oh, wow. Yeah, see, this is another one of those things I always talk about, doing things at the speed of car versus the speed of bike. And to be able to do this at sub 10 miles per hour is really a delight, a real treat. Just to see the waterway here between the two islands, and to see the absolute stunning growth on the island in the town of Chincoteague, how much has grown there. Bit of trivia, I'm not sure if I ever shared this, but back in the day, as I'm descending here, back in the day, I did briefly consider, instead of getting the cabin, getting a place here, and ultimately the distance being twice as far. There is a turtle in the water, which is interesting because it's a very briny waterway here. That was a surprise. Anyways, since it's 4 hours plus to get here from DC compared to 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours, I decided not to do that. So, missed opportunity? I don't know. I do love me at the cabin. It is fun. And it's closer to the CNO. We all know that. So I'm almost to Chincoteague. There's kind of like a causeway now where you go through. Oh, just beautiful. The seagulls here are unique to me, at least. They have a black, almost like a jet black head. Shiny even. Very, very unique. Oh, no, you can't be very unique. You can only be unique. You can only be one of a kind. But I suppose there's more than one. I'll stop using the word unique in a sentence now. Well, I'll call this officially Chincoteague. And rather than have you join me on the ride back to the car, I think we'll call it here at this beautiful overlook here of this grassy, marshy beauty in between the two islands here. What a real fun way to spend a day. So thank you so much for joining. Oh, the McDonald's that was always here is still here. So I suppose some things don't change. But thanks so much for joining on this. Now you hear the wind as I turn around. Thanks so much for joining on this adventure that goes back into my past, a real blast from the past. And I hope if you get an opportunity to come out here, let me know, because I think this is a fantastic place to bring your bike and have it be part of your bike travels.
And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedalshift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedalshift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community, expanding into live shows and covering new tours. If you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one-shot and annual options. If you're not into the small monthly thing, check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Didis, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadas, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Byron Patterson, Joachim Robber, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Henkel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Aviles Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Dan Gebhardt, Jody Zeranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Biggle, Greg Middlemas, Connie Moore, William Gothman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latois Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Tom Bilch, Ronald Piroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Grutke, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Lecco, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCulloch, John Hickman, Jack Smith, Carl Presso, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Dave Fletcher, James Stratakis, David Neves, Mike Lazewski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Weil, Matthew Sponseller, Chad Reno, Daniel Greger, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, and new to the society, Peggy Littlefield. And thanks to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.